let's take a look at the finance industry in the Charlotte area. Starting with, where are the jobs located? And so this map on the screen gives you a breakdown of where those positions are located by zip code. And you can see a high concentration in the Uptown area, in the Ballantyne area, and then throughout the South Park to the airport area. So high concentration into that central and southern part of the county. And looking at the industry snapshot, we can see that this industry employed over 80,000 individuals last year, which is far above the national average. So again, we know we have a strong finance industry here locally. It's one of our regional talent bases. And if you look at the average earnings per job, again, strong earnings here, over 150,000 annually. That is above the average for a similarly sized metro of about 140,000. So even though we're slightly below that national average, again, for an area of our size and considering our consumer price index, we're very competitive salary there. And if you look at the demand, so the number of job openings in any given month, just under 3,000 job postings monthly for this industry. So continual strong demand for employees in this industry. And looking at that demand for employees over a longer horizon, you can see that this industry has had a 38% growth in the past 5 years. So even though we're above the national average, we're continuing to outpace the national growth of this industry with a projected 11% growth over the next 5 years. And I will also just note that this is one of the few industries that continued to grow throughout the pandemic. So pandemic really didn't slow down the employment growth in this industry. And if we look at the diversity of employees in this industry, what we can see is the industry is slightly below average in terms of retirement risk as we look at the aging workforce and the large number of retirements we've seen since the pandemic. This industry is slightly below average. The industry is slightly above average with over 30,000 racially diverse individuals employed in this industry. However, it's slightly below average in terms of gender diversity with just about 44,000 women employed in this industry. And looking at the unemployment trends, what you can see is the industry's high unemployment actually came prior to the pandemic. You can see a couple of high points in 2019. And if you look at late 2021, again, returning to some of those low levels over the past few years. So this industry, as we noted, is one industry that continued to grow throughout the pandemic. So really didn't feel the impact of the pandemic in the same way that other industries did. And if we look at this industry by demographics, what we can see is, again, we mentioned this industry has about 44,000 women and just about 49% male. And the one important point to note here is, while this is close to the Mecklenburg County base rate, about 52% female, this industry prior to the pandemic was over 53% female. So we've seen a pretty significant decline in the number of females working in this industry, likely due to a large number of working parents exiting the labor force and just seeing some shifts there in terms of who's in the labor force here locally. Looking at this industry by race and ethnicity, we can see just over 64% of this industry is white, just around 21% is black or African American. And looking at this industry by age, again, we talked about this industry is just below average in terms of that retirement risk of individuals age 55 or over. And again, like many industries, primarily comprised of individuals between the ages of 25 and 54. So looking at this in terms of what occupations are available for individuals looking to get into the finance industry, again, you're talking about business and financial occupations. They also have office and administrative support occupations, sales, and then again, that fintech industry has a strong presence here locally as well. And so zooming into that a little bit more, so what were those top companies hiring in the past 12 months? You can see on the left-hand side, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Humana are some of the top employers looking for new talent over the past year. And looking at some of those job postings over the past year, you can see those occupations. Again, we talked about those fintech type operations. You see the technology demand there, software engineers, and then the business consultant role as well, going back to that business occupation that we saw earlier. And so when you're talking about these occupations, what skills do you need to get into this industry? So this is a breakdown over the demand for skills from this industry over the past few years. And so what you can see is over the past couple of years, there was a jump in the demand for knowledge of federal laws, again, likely driven by a lot of the response to the pandemic. And you can see since late 2021, that has really dipped off a cliff where it was the second most in demand skill for a while, and then it's really fallen out of the top 10 right now. So we've seen that's one skill that the demand has really gone down. One skill that we've seen demand has really gone up for is risk appetite. So understanding how to manage that risk is one skill we've seen a significant rise in. And then again, regulatory compliance. So it could be a shifting of knowledge from federal laws to making sure that they're compliant with those laws. So some rewarding of that skill language. So just to be aware of as you're applying for jobs in this industry. And then looking at the economic impact of this industry contributed almost $16 billion in earnings to our local economy and contributed just under $800 million in taxes in the last year. So again, a strong presence for us locally, contributing to a lot of earnings. And looking at this through an economic development lens, you can see the relationships this industry has with other industries in terms of supply chain analysis and gap analysis. You can see this industry is closely connected to insurance, commercial banking, portfolio management, and you can see how that breaks down between the investment in region industry activity and out of region industry activity. And so that's all I have for you today on the finance industry, but I hope you enjoyed this quick update.